Hey there, it's James with Make It Happen Greenhouse, and I gotta be honest, I'm taking a break. I'm sitting down here. I'm hot and tired, and the reason is the temperature of the greenhouse has jumped to 99 degrees, and I just need to rest. Again, I talked early in an earlier video about the fact that you can have a variance in temperature from head height in the greenhouse to waist height to even lower than that, of anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees. So I'm just sitting here cooling off for a minute with my cool hat and thinking about what I have going here. So as I was sitting here, I was thinking, you know what, maybe I should talk a little bit about how I water all these plants in the greenhouse, and was pretty purposeful about the design for watering. So first of all, let me just tell you a little bit about my property. So it's not huge, it's an acre. If you're in the city, maybe that is huge, but if you're out in the country, that's probably not huge. And the greenhouse is kind of at the back of the lot, so it's pretty far away from the main house. So what I thought about was, hey, how can I get water to the greenhouse on a regular, consistent way that's not a lot of work? And my solution for that was to pick a zone from my sprinkler system and use that zone as a way to water everything. So zone 7 happens to be the one that lines up with the greenhouse. So the very last sprinkler head in zone 7 I commandeered, because I basically built this greenhouse right over top of it, and attached hose. Actually, first I dug it up, I cut it out, all that stuff, and then attached an adapter for a regular hose attachment, and brought that into a way to filter the water, because we have rural water, and it's not well water, but it's rural water, and it tends to have a lot of minerals and stuff, and that can cause the leaves on your plants to turn brown, a little yellow, wilt if you're not careful. So here's the system I have, and let me just stop this, and I'll show you real quick what it looks like. Okay, so let me just show you the system I have for watering in the greenhouse. So a little chaos happened here earlier, but as I mentioned, we have a sprinkler system, and zone 7 is what I have connected. So I basically brought water up from the last sprinkler head and put some attachments on there. These are standard Rainbird type of attachments, and brought it up through this contraption. I'll just call it a contraption, and converted it over to right here to a regular or standard hose attachment. So that's what we have, and then this goes into basically an RV water filter. So the idea here is, number one, let's clean up the water a little bit, let's remove some of the mineral deposits, things like that, so that what we're giving the plants doesn't cause our leaves to turn brown and that kind of stuff. That goes into another adapter, 4-way, and I actually have another 2-way attached to that 4-way. So with these 5 options for watering, what I have here is I have a standard hose. Well, not standard, it's one of those stretchy hoses, but pocket hoses. But this is a nice little watering wand. It's adjustable head, and it helps me get all this stuff up high on this kind of stair step system that I have set up here. So that's nice. I have 3 of these hooked up to the micro irrigation system, and then one is connected to the this short hose that runs underneath here, underneath the potting bench, up into the water barrel. So this water barrel is where I hold reserve water. So when the sprinkler system's not running, I try to keep this pretty full, but I always have water available, so I don't have to worry about having water on demand from the sprinkler system. We just keep this water barrel full, and it's in a spot in the greenhouse that stays relatively cool, so it doesn't heat up or anything like that. So there you go. But what I want to talk to you about is the micro sprinkler system. So 3 different runs on that. and they all work pretty well, but I'll just tell you where they go. So first of all, I have over here, you can see all these lines running up attached to the rafters here, and where those all go is I'll step back here, but basically on the low side of the roof I have little micro sprinklers that are attached, and they're upside down, but they still work pretty good. I did put little pieces of aluminum behind them, so that kind of is a drip thing, so that it wouldn't drip directly into the wood. Even though it's pressure treated wood that's painted, I don't want it to rot over time. But the idea is here is that those sprinklers can hit both the hanging plants as well as everything down here in the lazy beds on this side of the greenhouse. And this runs all the way down. Hey, grows Michelle. To the corner here. You can see that up in the corner there. And again, all those have the little aluminum kind of drip guards. But that hits pretty much everything. When I would run this though, I noticed that some of the hanging plants would get missed. There just wasn't enough power behind those little micro sprinkler heads. So that's when I added another line, and it just has 2 heads on it. I find that these little spinner heads really take a lot of pressure to get going. So if you put too many on, forget it. They're not going to work very well. But with just 2 here, they work like a champ. So that makes sure that pretty much anything that's being missed at all by the other sprinklers on the low side do get hit. So including all of the hanging plants. So, and again, I have this conduit that I hang all these plants, electrical conduit that I hang all the plants from. So you can move them if you need to a little bit, just to make sure they're getting watered. But so far, no issues, and that's good. And then the last run that I have, again, it runs up to the top here. Maybe you can see this, but if you look up on the 2x4 there, on the high side wall, you'll see an orange micro sprinkler head, and there's another one up there, and then the third one down here a little farther. That's actually a blue one, and that just is about the diameter that they cover. But anyway, so those 3 heads hit everything up top here. And the nice thing about that is anything that drips down will go and hit the raised beds down here below those stairs. And just for fun, I have another set of sprinkler heads off that same line that run at the lower level here. You can see them, and hit all this lower stuff. So pretty good coverage across the board. I haven't had too many problems. The only thing that I've had to do for this was install a couple of control knobs here. You'll see it on this one, and I have a couple others that are like this, basically to reduce the pressure coming through this head, so that down the line it gets enough pressure to actually fire off. But unless the neighbors and a couple neighbors are running their sprinkler systems at the same time, so far no issues. And I have these all set on the Rainbird system to fire off. Basically I was doing every hour, and I found that was just a little too wet for everything, so I switched it to every other hour. Runs about 5 minutes, and that pretty much does the trick for the plants. So they seem to love it. Everything's growing great. So real easy way to water all the plants. And then if I'm in here, just happen to be in here, the sprinklers go off every other hour. I turn on the hose here to the water reserve, and voila, we get more water in the bucket here. So good to go. So there you go. Thanks for watching. If you have a chance, subscribe. Thanks. Bye.